I'd like to call to order the Scotch Plains Family Board of Education regular public meeting for September 27, 2016. Mrs. Saradaki, would you please call the roll?
Dr. Clancy? Here. Dr. Kolakowski? Here. Ms. Shermer? Here. Ms. Williams? Here. Ms. Winkler? Here. Ms. Cleary? Here. Mrs. Bowden?
Here.
Quorum is present.
Thank you. Please join us in the salute to the flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, the board met in executive session and discussed personnel, legal issues, and that's it. And we have some additions to the agenda, 1S and 4S, some of which we voted on before, but we have additions. 1 BUS, 8 BUS, 13 BUS, and then we have updates. So I'll remind board members, if you're reading, to read from the updated editions because they're different. And for our resolutions. I know we had committee reports last week. Are there any additional committee reports this week? Okay. We had our instructional update on the beginning of school last week as well, and we don't have any letters to the board, so, I beg your pardon? Oh, just skipping right over. Okay, so we do have an opportunity for the public. If anyone would like to come, according to our bylaws, 0164 and 0165, please come to the podium, give us your name and the town in which you reside. Okay, seeing no one, we'll go back to the superintendent's report, Dr. Hayes.
Thank you, Mrs. Bauer. Tonight, I would ask that the board approve the out-of-district placements that are on the additions to the agenda, 1S. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 additional placements.
So moved. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you. 2S, I would ask for a motion that the board acknowledge the superintendent's report on the graduation verification report that I did last week for the class of 2016.
So moved. Second.
Are there any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you. 3S, I would ask that the board approve the annual memorandum of agreement with law enforcement officials.
So moved. Second.
All, any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you. And 4S, although we approved field trips last week, we did have a field trip request that came in just today that I would recommend that the board approve. This is for Park Middle School students in 8th grade Spanish to attend a presentation at the Margaret Williams Theater at New Jersey City University on Latin American dance and music. This is in connection with their Spanish studies, and the field trip will take place on November 22nd, 2016.
So moved. Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you. And then I would ask that the board approve the personnel agenda as reviewed in exec this evening.
So moved. Second.
Okay, Mrs. Saradaki, call the roll.
Dr. Kolakowski?
Yes.
Mrs. Winkler?
Yes.
Ms. Clancy?
Yes.
Dr. Clancy?
Yes.
Mrs. Shermer?
Yes.
Mrs. Williams? Mrs. Cleary?
Yes.
Mrs. Bowden?
Yes.
And that concludes my report.
Okay, that brings us to another opportunity for the public to come to the microphone according to the Scotch Plains Family Bylaws 0164 and 0165. Okay, seeing no one, before we move on to the business functions, I do just want to say for anyone who's watching on TV that last week was the agenda setting meeting. So there was more discussion and the committee reports and so forth. So tonight we're really have had a period of time not only to reflect on the discussions last week. So Mrs. Saradaki, if you'll do the business functions.
Yes, I'd like to move them.
Okay.
One BUS, I'm asking the board to approve the staff training superintendent's recommendations report dated September 27, 2016, including the additions to that. Two BUS, I'm asking the board to acknowledge receipt of the disbursement listings for the month of August 2016. Three BUS, I'm asking the board to acknowledge the receipt of the security and fire drill reports for the summer of 2016. Four BUS was approved last week. I'm sorry, it was withdrawn because the board approved it in June 2016. Five BUS, I'm asking for the board to accept the 2017 IDEA grant funds, the total amount of which are $1,344,957. Six BUS was approved at September 20th meeting. Seven BUS, asking for the board to accept grant funds in the amount of $9,875.38 from the Margaret and Peter Chain Foundation for a program to enhance and develop life skills in third grade students. Eight BUS, asking for the board's approval of related services through private vendors. These are listed on your regular agenda, and there are also some additions, including some staff training from the Newmark School. 9 BUS was approved last week on September 20th. 10 BUS, I'm asking the board to acknowledge the receipt of the business reports. That's the board secretary's report, the treasurer of school funds report, and budgeted adjustments for the month of August 2016. 11 BUS, I'm asking the board to approve the bill list for the period August 23rd, 16 through September 23rd, 16 in the amount of $5,637,779.69. And on the additions, apparently there's no 12 BUS. 13 BUS, asking the board to approve technology purchases, Dell Chromebooks from Ocean Computer Group under New Jersey State Contract 88796 at a price of $48,991.25.
Second.
Okay, are there questions about any of these items in the block? Yes, Mrs. Winkler?
One question, going back to the one BUS, with the staff, the additions. One of the things on here is for a conference entitled Emerging Legal Issues and Requirements for SACs for
Substance awareness counselors, substance abuse counselors.
Other questions?
I just had one.
Yes, Mrs. Williams.
I love to see that we're getting more new technology. Are the 155 Chromebooks replacing ones already, or are they new for the district?
They're new initiatives for the Chromebooks.
Oh, terrific.
But where we're putting Chromebooks, we're often taking out older equipment too. So
Okay.
Additional questions?
Yeah, I have 12 BUS. For some reason, it wasn't printed on here. It was the Evergreen boiler replacement, which was about $197,000. So I'd like that to be included. About $197,000. I don't have the number right here.
I think it's,
Something
and
that it-
it's in the finance report
Yes, it was in the finance report.
and the facilities report. Are there questions about anything else in this block of business items? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, that brings us to board policies.
Have some policies, I'd like to move that the board approve first reading of the following policies. 5339, screening for dyslexia. 5465, building graduation. 5615, suspected gang activity. 5756, transgender students. 8540, school nutrition program. 8820, opening exercises / ceremonies. And also that the board approve the abolishment of the following regulation. 8540, free and reduced rate meals. Last week we discussed kind of in depth why we were making the changes we were, and the abolishing of this particular regulation was because in the policy itself, we referenced the state regulations, and so
Okay, is there a second? Any more comments or questions about the policies? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, new board business? Other board business, either request to attend workshops or workshop reports? Mrs.
my
Winkler?
report. On September 21st last week, Karen actually was there with me. I attended the Union County School Boards Association meeting. We do meet about once every 2 months or so. The subject of the meeting was communication tips for school districts in good times and bad. The meeting opened with the president of Union County School Boards, Ray Topoleski, giving a welcome and introduction and the flag salute. Then we had an election for our delegate to the school boards, New Jersey School Boards Board of Directors, Helen Kirsch from Berkeley Heights, and as an alternate, Maureen Byrne from Winfield. Dan Sinclair, who is the New Jersey School Board's Vice President for County Activities, got up and he talked a little bit. The one thing that I'll point out was that he mentioned that the new acting commissioner for the State Department of Education is Kimberly Harrington, who will be speaking at a workshop in October. Then we had a report from Mark Biedron, who is the president of the State Board of Education. He talked about how they've been reviewing their mission statement, reviewing what their vision is, what their goals are, sort of refining what they want to focus on. Gwen Thornton gave an update as field services representative. Michael Branchick for New Jersey School Boards is the governmental relations director. Got up and mentioned a handful of things, but the bottom line and most important of what he said was that all of the legislators in the state government and the governor are going to be up for election next year. And if we have any concerns specifically about school-related issues, we should make our concerns known to our elected officials now, because they do want to be able to count on our votes in the fall, and they're more receptive to hear our concerns at this time. What else? Then we got to the main presentation, was this communication fix for school districts, was presented by Ray Kinney, who is the school board's director of member engagement, and Janet Bamford and Jeanette Runquist for communications. people through New Jersey school boards, and I will probably, I will try to scan some of this and send it to you, but some of the more important things I wanted to point out that they talked about, communication in the 21st century is dramatically different than it was just even a few years ago, and it's constantly changing, and school districts need to adapt to what's happening, and the newspaper business is in decline, and advertising through newspapers is not necessarily the place to get things heard. Sometimes people write a letter to the editor. What else? People receive their information differently now. They tend to get their information online. They tend to get most of their information through social media. When people get information, particularly on something, whatever the issue is, they get it through social media. We all know that social media tends to act sometimes as an echo chamber for things that are not quite factual, and people will generally believe what they hear first as the truth. So if we want to get messages out, we should try to be on social media, getting our messages out before other versions of those messages may get out. They said they said a handful of things that were, I thought, pretty important to know. They said the role for the board in terms of social media or any of this would really be policy and goal setting, including developing a communication plan for the district, something that's comprehensive and matches the needs and talents of the district, lays out roles and responsibilities, should be reviewed periodically, at least annually, because of the rate that things change. We do need to look at it regularly. And then the rest of it I'll get to you, but I thought that was all important information. And then finally, some upcoming meetings. The next meeting for Union County School Boards is going to be November 21st, and the topic will be special education.
Thank you very much, and thank you both for going.
Yeah, Facebook and Twitter were the ways that they say it's out the fastest, and even though you have a website, how many people actually go to the website? They go on Facebook and Twitter first, so if you do have, whether it's good or bad, at least to put it out there, to put it out there first, rather than the people who spread things get their message out first and it's incorrect or skewed, and that it should be monitored by someone at the board office. And if you do have a website or Facebook or Twitter account, that it should be monitored daily, and not like do it and then, okay, tomorrow's the art show, right, and that's why you need somebody to do that, and you know, you can't say, oh, the board will monitor, because there are 9 of us, but, you know, we would put different things on, and it has to be, and I know we don't have that, has to be person anymore, like we were back in the old days, but, yes,
They did suggest calling them for more information on how to make that work.
May I ask a question? There's been some back and forth about having an information type officer on staff in the past, so did they touch upon that at all, or funding for that role?
funding, no. Just getting the word out.
Not at all. But they did say for more information on how to actually make it work, to contact them directly.
Because we have
Reach out to
no
them.
shortage of wonderful ideas.
But we do have a shortage of staff to make that happen.
Staffing to make that happen.
We cut back quite a bit as budgets.
Well, when the 2% cap was put in, we lost many positions. As I think the public knows, or we have tried to explain over time, that we have been very diligent about doing all the work in our schools, whether it's HVAC or whatever within our budget, and the 2% cap, rather than going out for referendums. So it's still a challenge with the cap.
But they didn't make any reference to actually having a staff person because
They did not say that.
They said that if you did have a Facebook or Twitter account, that someone had to monitor it, make people think you
Clearly, but it
No,
did not
it's-
state who that person would be.
In the past, they came down on the side that districts, correct me if I'm wrong, Dr. Hayes, could not have someone whose sole purpose was to be information.
And that may be the way in which someone would work through that. If it's not their sole purpose, they may be able to justify the need to have someone in another capacity, and then this would be a subset of their responsibilities.
Thank you.
But Meg was very interesting, aside from the business functions that, Raymond is an excellent presenter, and he had a good presentation, presentation video set, so we watched both, and we saw the wrong way to communicate with your public, and the right way, the words, the intents, the answers or non-answers. It was very entertaining as well as informational.
We played both the.
Yes.
Both the hapless superintendent and the confident superintendent. It was pretty funny to watch.
We know nothing about that.
Yes, we're very
So we got this.
well, thank you for that report, and moving on to having an excellent superintendent, we have the superintendent merit goals. Somebody like to make a motion?
I would like to make a motion. I'll go after this.
No.
Just to approve it.
I lost my place. I'd like to move that the Board of Education approve superintendent merit goals for 2016, 2017.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? I would like to point out that, as usual, you want a roll call?
Yeah, because it's compensation.
Okay.
Well, ultimately, yeah.
Okay. Mrs. Sirdafi, would you call the roll, please?
Mrs. Winkler?
Actually.
I'm sorry, Mrs. Cleary. Yes, I was looking at Mrs. Cleary. Mrs. Cleary?
Yes.
Dr. Kulikowski?
Yes.
Dr. Clancy?
Yes.
Mrs. Shermer?
Yes.
Mrs. Williams?
Yes.
Mrs. Winkler? Mrs. Fowler?
Yes. I did want to say that these are really wonderful goals, and I think it will be fascinating to find out, the outcomes of these. So I thank Dr. Hayes for doing it as with everything with a real diligence and care. So that brings us to our resolutions, and the first one that we have is the Week of Respect. Mrs. Winkler is going to read it.
I'd like to move the board adopt the following resolution. Whereas the Anti-Bullying Bill of Rights, PL 2010, C-122, was approved by the New Jersey Legislature in November 2010, and signed into law by Governor Christie in January 2011. And whereas the statute is intended to protect students from harassment and intimidation that would substantially interfere with their education. And whereas in a 2009 survey by the National Centers for Disease Control, 1 in 5 New Jersey students indicated they had been the subject of bullying on school grounds during the previous year. And whereas the Anti-Bullying Bill of Rights places expanded responsibilities on teachers, school administrators, and Board of Education to protect students from incidents of bullying, harassment, and intimidation. And whereas the Anti-Bullying Bill of Rights designates the week beginning with the first Monday in October as Week of Respect throughout New Jersey. And whereas the law directs school districts to observe the Week of Respect through age-appropriate instruction in accordance with New Jersey's core curriculum content standards. And whereas the Scotch Plains Vanwood Board of Education recognizes the harmful impact of harassment and bullying on children and is committed to providing all of its students with a safe and secure learning environment free from intimidation. And whereas the Scotch Plains Vanwood Board of Education supports the intent of the Anti-Bullying Bill of Rights to protect our children as well as the goal of previous law to enhance training and instruction to prevent harassment, intimidation, and bullying. Now therefore be it resolved that the Scotch Plains Vanwood Board of Education declares October 3rd through 7th, 2016 as a Week of Respect in all district schools. And be it further resolved that the Week of Respect will be part of the Scotch Plains Vanwood Public Schools' ongoing efforts to foster respect among students and staff for the diverse cultures and personalities represented in our school community. And be it further resolved that copies of this resolution be sent to Governor Chris Christie State Senator Nicholas P. Scutari, Assembly Representative James J. Kennedy, Barry Green, the New Jersey School Boards Association, and the Union County School Boards Association.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, and we have the National School Lunch Week, and I believe Dr. Kulikowski.
I'd like to move that the Board of Education adopt the following resolution. Whereas the school districts around the nation will celebrate National School Lunch Week from October 10th through the 14th, 2016, and whereas this year's theme for the National School Lunch Week is Show Your Spirit, encouraging students to get excited about eating healthy and learning the benefits of eating a healthy diet of fruits, vegetables, and whole grains. And whereas the National School Lunch Program is dedicated to the health and well-being of our nation's children, and whereas the National School Lunch Program has been joined through the years by many other excellent food and physical activity programs for the children, and there is evidence in the continued need for education about nutrition in combination with physical activity and awareness of the value of school nutrition programs. And whereas the Scotch Plains Family Board of Education recognizes that children who are provided breakfast and lunch daily are better prepared for a classroom environment, being able to focus on learning. And whereas it is important for the Scotch Plains family communities to understand that education, proper child nutrition, and physical activity go hand in hand. And whereas the State Board of Education continues to recognize and commend the men and women who accept and meet the daily challenge of providing school lunches to our children. And therefore, be it resolved that the week of October 10th through the 14th, 2016 is recognized as the National School Lunch Week. And be it further resolved that the National School Lunch Week be devoted to the recognition of everyone who contributes to the successful operation of our state schools' lunch food service programs. And be it further resolved that this special week is a fine-fitting time to urge all of Scotch Plains and Fanwood residents to become aware and concerned about their children's and their own nutritional habits in hope of achieving a more healthful community for today and the future.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, I believe the next resolution we have is School Violence Awareness Week, and is that Dr. Clancy?
Move that the Board of Education adopt the following resolution. Whereas the Scotch Plains Family Board of Education encourages awareness and promotes education on effective methods to reduce and prevent youth violence and raise awareness of schools' safety and security issues, and provide information that parents, community members, and educators can utilize to make schools safer and more secure. And whereas district schools shall observe this week by organizing activities to prevent school violence, including but not limited to age-appropriate opportunities for student discussion on conflict resolution, issues of student diversity and tolerance. Now therefore be it resolved that the Scotch Plains Family Board of Education proclaims the week of October 17th to the 21st, 2016 as School Violence Awareness Week.
All those in favor? Opposed? Okay, now we have National Principals Month, and I believe Mrs. Shermer is going to do that.
I would like to move that the Board of Education approve National Principals Month October resolution. Move that the Board of Education adopts the following resolution. Whereas the National Association of Secondary School Principals and the National Association of Elementary School Principals have declared the month of October 2016 as National Principals Month. And whereas the principals in the Scotch Plains Family Public Schools are educational visionaries, instructional leaders, assessment experts, disciplinarians, community builders, public relations experts, budget analysis, facility managers, special program administrators, and guardians of various legal, contractual, policy, and mandates and initiatives, as well as being entrusted with the education and development of young people, the most valuable resource. And whereas principals set the academic tone for their schools and work collaboratively with teachers to develop and maintain high curriculum standards and set performance goals and objectives for schools to achieve educational excellence. And whereas principals are dedicated to their students' ongoing academic and intellectual development. Principals work to provide positive support systems to empower their students and to give them the right tools they need to succeed. And whereas our principals are responsible for the safety of their students and staff and the security of their school, they maintain school climates which reflect a philosophy of discipline that includes setting high standards, providing the support students need, and demanding the best of them. And whereas principals lead the way in making schools accountable to students, parents, the community, and other stakeholders, each principal is responsible for fostering a dynamic partnership between the community and the school in order to create a positive learning environment for students. And whereas the month of October has been declared National Principals Month and is dedicated to recognizing the significant contributions of our nation's principals and the enthusiasm they have for providing quality education experiences and guidance to their students. And whereas the Scotch Plains Family Board of Education recognizes and appreciates the skills, dedication, and commitment of the Scotch Plains family principals and the challenges they face daily. Now therefore, be it resolved that the Scotch Plains Family Board of Education recognizes and commends the contributions of our school principals, Dr. David Heisey, Dr. Jocelyn Demarest, Dr. Kevin Holloway, Mr. Scott Wortman, Dr. Karen Weatherwell, Mrs. Colleen Ulmer, Dr. Sasha Slocum, and Mr. Justin Fiore for their continued service to our children.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? No one's opposed. Okay. And newly tenured teachers, Mrs. Williams.
I'd like to move that the Board of Education adopts the following resolution. Whereas the mission of the Scotch Plains Family Public Schools is to educate and empower our community of individual learners to be successful citizens of the world, and whereas the Scotch Plains Family Board of Education will always accept exceptional performance by staff and will always hire only the most qualified candidates and will promote the maximum performance and achievement of every student and staff member. And whereas the following teachers are deserving of receiving tenure in the Scotch Plains Family Public School this year: Brunner, Amy Berland, Ann Fletcher Lynch; Coles, Ellen Buffani; Evergreen School, Karen Block, Jacqueline Santos; McGinn School, Taylor Gregory; Park Middle School, Anthony Bruno and Alexandra Schulman; at Terrell Middle School, Sarah Duran, Nicole Largina; at Scotch Plains Family High School, Virginia Nisaza, Joseph Staro, Catherine Hoffman. Now therefore be it resolved that the Scotch Plains Family Board of Education recognizes and congratulates these newly tenured teachers and offers our support and best wishes as they continue to diligently work with our students in the Scotch Plains Family Public Schools.
All those in favor?
Aye.
So just point out, thank you everyone that on our upcoming meeting dates at the end of the agenda. The next time that we're together on October 13th, we'll be using these resolutions and giving them to our tenured teachers and principals. So that brings us to the,
I'm sorry,
yes.
Mr. Vaughn found the other item that was missing from the business section of our agenda, and I just wanted to see if anybody has any objection to my incorporating it into the prior.
Well, I think what you should do is just vote on that separately.
Okay. That's the Title I Arts Integration Pilot Program Grant Submission. I'm asking the board to approve the submission of the Title I Arts Integration Pilot Program Grant with a maximum award is $100,000.
So moved.
Second. comments or questions? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, wonderful. We always look at their grants.
I want to thank Dr. Master for she's been working very diligently, and has gotten the input from staff members in the audience, and we really like it.
Yes, thank you very much, Dr. Mast.
Doing it on a short timeline as well.
Very yes. Okay, approval of the minutes. Somebody like that?
Second.
Okay. I know I need to abstain from June 6th and the 16th. Anyone else?
And I need to abstain from August 25th.
Okay.
Oh, and I need to abstain from August 25th.
Okay. We have a lot of abstentions. It was COVID here. I know. Did we have a motion? Dr. Kulikowski made the motion. Did we have a second? Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. In accordance with Scotch Plains Vanwood bylaw 0164 and 0165, we have an opportunity for the public to come to the microphone. Seeing no one, we'll move to the good of the order. I'll say something. Speaking of communications, we had our open house on Saturday again at Evergreen, and I know Mrs. Williams and Dr. Hayes and Mrs. Walbert and I were here at Evergreen, and I think we had over 50 people who came. We had such a wonderful mix, right, Mrs. Williams?
It was a nice day. A lot of parents came with upcoming kindergartners, wanted to see what was going on in the school. We also had people who were in the kindergarten and wanted to show their grandparents in class. And you had some alumni. My son came. This is how I remember him. So it was a good day.
It was really great. And we just had community members who came, who wanted to see the kindergartens, teachers whose children wanted to see. We had every imaginable kind of visitors. It was really great. So, yes.
That, Ms. Marty, who's not listening, Dr. Clancy, myself, who was yes. There was another point. These are, yes, of course, Mrs. Slocum, Dr. Slocum, Dr. Slocum was kind enough to host us, and we had a later attendance, but we did have some very excited people coming in, even some new people to the community. And I wanted to just point out also we had specifically two teachers, Kindergarten teachers who came in. One of them who's new to the district, new to teaching, and we had some Friday tonight to talk to her and get her feedback on how she felt her introduction to the district went through the summer, through the professional development programs, through the mentorships, and all the many things that we do for our young teachers in the district. And she had incredibly complimentary things to say. She was extremely excited. I think anyone sitting in her class was quite lucky. She had great enthusiasm. And she did say something very funny about how, everything was laid out wonderfully for her, but she even felt comfortable enough to say, okay, when the bell rings and we go in, what's the first thing I do, And we sometimes lose sight of the fact that it's quite an overwhelming experience for a new teacher to now be in that classroom with the door shuts. And she just could not say enough about how well prepared and supported she felt. So I wanted to say thank you to all of the staff who makes that possible. And you're in a very good place with full day kindergarten as well as with the back to school. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Anything else for the good of the order? Okay. I think that was a good note to end on then. Can we have a move to adjourn?
So moved. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, I know there's no opposition. Thank you, everybody.